Hi, I'm new tics a lot, and this video is going to be on rubbing tics. I've done TikToks on rubbing tics before, but I've never done a longer YouTube video on them. If you pick up tics easily, please don't watch the video, because I will be explicitly explaining a tic that's quite harmful. So what's a rubbing tic? So for me, a rubbing tic is where I involuntarily rub my face or body with my hand. Over and over again, it causes a friction burn. For me, it feels like someone else is hurting me, and that can be really traumatic. It makes me scared of my own body, scared of what my own body can do to me. Trigger warning for blood. Don't watch the next few seconds of the video. Here are a few of the injuries that I've sustained from tics in the past. These are all from rubbing tics. The reason that I am doing this video is because I've not had a rubbing tic in over 6 months, and sadly the tic has come back in full force. Started last night. Last night it did this one on the side of my face, and then today, this morning, started doing the one on my nose. So I'll answer some frequently asked questions about my rubbing tics. So can I feel them coming? Yes and no. So sometimes I get the sensation coming down my arm that I'm going to have a tic in my hand. For me, it's kind of like a rush of energy, tingles, some pain in my arm and my wrist. But sometimes it's so fast, the tic comes along so quickly that I don't really get much of a warning. It's, in a way, I mean, it's bad either way, but in a way it's worse when I do get the warning, because it's like I'm waiting for the inevitable to happen. It's a bit like when I get seizure brain. I know I'm going to have a seizure and it's just waiting for it to happen, like it's horrible. So then why don't my parents stop me? They do stop me whenever they can. If I'm with them and my tic starts rubbing my face, they don't just watch me. They will pull my hand away, but they do it as gently as they can so that I can still make the movement of the tic. Because if they hold my hand so tightly that I can't do anything with it, that will suppress the tic. That holds the tic in. And then as soon as they let me go, the tic will come out 10 times harder than it would have done if they'd have just let it out at the time, if that makes sense. So they sort of stop me from hurting myself, but still let the tic come out. Also, if I'm not with them, if I'm on my own, obviously it's a bit more difficult. I'm never on my own for long periods of time because of my seizures. But for example, I'm on my own in my room right now. Mum and Dad come and check on me every 10 minutes. But if I'm having a rubbing tic and they're not with me, I'll call them really loud. I'll sort of run towards them so that they can get to me as quick as possible. Does anything trigger my rubbing tics? So talking about them triggers them. I'm doing this video now because I'm really calm now. My tics have been bad all day, but they seem to be okay right now. I would not be talking about this if my tics were bad. I've kind of accepted that because I'm talking about them, it may happen at some point. But we just, we hope that that doesn't happen. Does anything else trigger my tics? Seeing other people make the rubbing motion. So if I saw someone rubbing cream into their face, that would trigger me. And for some reason, baths trigger me. So not in the bath, but when you're in the bath and your skin goes softer, your fingers go wrinkly, your skin's more delicate when it's wet and absorbed moisture. Well, when I'm drying myself with the towel, I don't know why, it often gets triggered. I'll be sort of rubbing myself with the towel and then the tic will rub my skin with the towel, which is awful because, as you can probably imagine, but you don't want to, the friction that comes off the towel, it's a lot worse than just rubbing it with my hand. How long does a rubbing tic last? So the actual rubbing itself only lasts 5 or 10 seconds, but having the rubbing tic lasts for a few days normally. It's a bit like any other tic. They come and go. I had a tic where I would say the word peas. That lasted a few days. So yeah, just a few days to a week normally. Have I had this tic before? Yes. It was actually my first ever self-injurious tic. It happened about, a few months after my tic started. It was the first harmful tic. I'd have tick attacks where I would just constantly rub my face and my body, and it was virtually impossible to get me off myself because my tics were just so aggressive. They were so harmful that it was dangerous for anyone else to sort of come near me. Does anything else cause the marks on my face? So majority of the time it is a rubbing tic that will cause this kind of mark on my face. However, I've had 2 instances where I've had a seizure face down. So during the convulsions of the seizure, my face will rub against the floor. This causes a friction burn similar to what my rubbing tics will do. So it causes the same kind of mark, but it's just not caused by the same thing, if that makes sense. Is there anything that can help me prevent rubbing tics? So there's nothing that directly prevents them happening, except for things like distracting myself, doing things with my hands like fidget toys, getting my mind off my tics, not talking about my tics. But things that I do that help is, now I only do this when the tic's in full force, because you want the burn to dry up and scab over. But when my tic is happening really frequently, the first day of the tic usually, so hopefully I'm over the worst of it now, I'll put bio oil on my burns and I'll keep my hands really moisturised, because that way when I'm rubbing my skin there's no friction, it just rubs the oil into my skin. Or I'll put loads of moisturiser onto the burn, so then when my tic rubs, all it's doing is rubbing in the moisturiser, there's no friction. I wouldn't recommend wearing gloves because the friction from the gloves will be worse than the friction from your skin. I've tried sort of bandages and plasters before, but it just rubs them off. And again, you want them to dry up, so putting a bandage on them just keeps them moist and that's not going to heal up. So yeah, that is everything I think I've answered about rubbing tics. If you've got any questions, hopefully the comments will be on, but sometimes they turn themselves off. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for another educational video. Bye!